Screen stop చేయమంటారు.
Can you see my
Already
screen?
stop అయిపోయింది. Already stop అయిపోయింది.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so right.
Double T.
Yeah. So what did we do is that we have started the services, and I just said that to work on Essbase, there are few of the services that we have to start in the middle tier. The services being OHS, we start the foundation management, foundation services, and we also start the Essbase server, OPM, Oracle Process Manager, EPM System 1. We also start the administration services, Java web application. So I've started all the services related to Essbase. I would log into the Essbase console. Username is admin, password is password. I have created an application with the name called Bicorp. Okay, this is a BSO application. I start this application. And I double click on my outline. And I have created the time dimension from Q1 to Q4. And we were talking about the data storage properties yesterday. And I said that we have 6 storage properties in Essbase. When I store data, we have something called dynamic calc and store. We have something called shared member, never share, and label only. Store data by default, when you load the data into the Essbase, Essbase will store that value in the particular cell and it will occupy 8 bytes of memory. So when you say dynamic calc, Essbase will not store the value in the particular cell, but however, when you retrieve the data in the reports, the value is dynamically calculated and the value is shown to the end user in the report. And when the end user closes the report, the value is also gone. So never ever Essbase will store that value in within the particular block within the cell. That is called dynamic calc, and we have seen some of the advantages and disadvantages, and we also have a condition for dynamic calc, which is we cannot tag a level 0 member as dynamic calc unless until we have a formula associated with it. Dynamic calc and store, it's the same thing as dynamic calc. The only difference is that after it calculates the value stores in that particular cell. So unless until the value is not retrieved, the value is not calculated. That is my dynamic calc and store. And we have also seen something called shade member. The shade member, as a definition, it says the data value associated with the shade member comes from a different member having the same name. So if you want to use the value, then we give a same name and tag that member as shade member. So whenever you tag that member as a shade member, it will point out to your original value and it will fetch the value from there. So that is my shade member. We have also seen some of the condition for the shade member. So shade member cannot have children below it. The original member and the shade member should be in the same dimension. We cannot write a formulas to a shade member. The original member has to be created first, only then we can create a shade member. The original member and the shade member cannot be under the same parent. So these are some of the conditions of my shade member. So shade member is also usually called as alternate hierarchies. So in the projects, we have seen yesterday that you might have where in your accounts dimension you have some the original hierarchy, and you will have something called external P&L account or external accounting, in which I would take few of the members from original hierarchy and make them as a shade member in my external P&L account, external P&L. So that is one way of using your shade member. So that's what we use in the real-time world. After talking about the shade member, we'll talk about there is something called never share. We'll take an example what is called never share, and we'll try to understand what is this never share. Okay, so if you want to understand what is never share, then we need to understand two concepts, which is called implied share and one is called explicit share. Okay, so if I understand these two members, these two concepts, then I will be able to understand what is called never share. Okay, so yesterday we have seen accounts under which have something called gross margin, under which I have something called net sales, you have something called gross sales, you have units, you have price, under which I have something called discounts, under which I also have something called gross sales, you have something called discount percentage, and this we have tagged as shade member. Okay, so how do I tag this member as shade member? I select this member, right click, go to edit member properties, change the data storage properties from store data to shade member. That is how we tag this as shade member. So if you tag it like that, that is called explicit sharing. So which means that we are forcefully telling to the system, take this member as shade member. That is called explicit sharing. There is something called implied sharing. So implied sharing means that you don't have to tell anything to Essbase. So basically Essbase will automatically take it as a shade member. So where in explicit sharing you have to tell this member as a shade member, but in some situations Essbase will automatically take it as a shade member. And what are those situations? Now say for example I have a dimension called product. Under product I have some product codes. Now say for example I have product called 100, under which I have children called 110 as my product, 120 as my product, and 130 as my product. You also have a product code called 200. Under 200 you have a product code called 210, and you have something called 300, under which you have a product code called 310, 30. So all the consolidation properties are placed here. Okay, so all the product codes are placed. Okay, now okay, so this is my hierarchy here. Okay, now I load the data. Now say for example for 110 I load the data as say for example 10 here. I load the data as say for example 50 here. Okay, and I load the data here as 50. Okay, so this consolidation property is placed here. Okay, so what Essbase would do, it will consolidate the data or it will aggregate the data based on the consolidation properties. So it will put the value as 100 here. Okay, it will put the value as 100 here, and it will take the value as 50 here. Okay, so this is plus here, others are tilde, so only 150 will go to the my parent, so it is 150 because the other consolidation properties are tilde here. Okay, so this value will go to my parent. So what Essbase would do is that whenever Essbase within the hierarchy, whenever Essbase finds one parent and one child, Essbase will not store the same value two times here, but internally Essbase will, the parent will shade the value from the child. So it will not store the value at my parent level, but however Essbase is intelligent enough that it would not store the same value two times and it would not waste the memory. So internally what Essbase would do is that it will, the parent will shade the value from the child. Whenever you retrieve the value at my parent, you still get 50 here, but the value 50 is not getting stored at my parent, but internally it is getting shade from my child. This is called implied sharing. I have not mentioned anywhere it is called this is my shade member. So, but Essbase is intelligent enough that whenever it finds one parent and one child, Essbase will not store the value two times, but Essbase will shade the value. The parent is sharing the value from the child. If you do not want to happen like this, or if you do not want to shade the value, then what I would do is that I will tag the parent as never share. Okay, don't shade the value. So when you are saying don't shade the value, what Essbase would do? It will store the value at my parent. So this is situation number one, where you have one parent and one child. Essbase will shade the value from the child. Situation number two is that when you have one parent and many children, and only one child is getting consolidated to the parent, even in that case, Essbase will not store the value at my parent level, but in turn it will shade the value. Okay, but if you do not want to shade the value, then I would tag the parent as never share. Then I'm saying to the system, don't shade the value. And when you're saying that to the system, do not shade the value, Essbase will store the value at my parent. Getting it? Any doubts you have?
Are there any situations when we use this never share, like
Yes.
any practical applications?
Yes, we would. I would tell you those. I'll send you a document on this. What are the implications of not tagging the parent as never share? What would happen and what are the implications? So I would share you that document to you. Okay. So, but whenever you have one parent and one child is because it is saving the memory, it's good. But sometimes it so happens that you have to tag the member. You have to tag the member as parent level. You have to tag the parent as never share. For those issues not to come, I'll tell you what are the issues that you get when you do not tag the parent as never share. So we will see this issue very common in planning applications if you do not tag the parent as never share. Okay, understood the concept of never share?
You mean in some situations we should never mention never share, and in some situations we have to mention never share?
Yes, that is true. So there are some issues that you encounter. Okay, in that situation you have to go and see whether you have one parent and one child, and if you have a one parent and one child, then you tag it as never share. These are, so when we talk about planning, you'll be able to understand better there. Okay, then we tag that as never share.
Okay.
Getting it?
Okay, got it.
Understood? Yeah. Okay, that is called never share. So never share means the value, when you have one parent and one child, Essbase will shade the value. If you do not want to shade the value, but if you want to store the value, you tag the parent as never share. Clear? Understood till here? Okay.
Okay, probably once I look into the document that you sent, then I'll be
Yeah. So let me give me a minute here. I'll show it to you right now.
See?
Yeah, so this is the document. I'm sorry, I was on mute. So this is the document that I was talking about on the implied share. So if you read it, an implied share is a relationship between a parent member and its child member in the application outline. Implied share are an Essbase feature that will also affect planning users since planning applications are built on top of Essbase. The purpose of implied share is to reduce the block size in Essbase by avoiding the unnecessary duplication of data. Implied sharing is enabled by default. So that's what we see. No? So what is implied share? So I said that when you have one parent and one child, Essbase will duplicate the value by storing the same value two times. So so implied share will not store the same value two times when you have one parent and one child. So there are it says there are three situations where an implied share relationship will be created between a parent and child. The parent has only one child. So we have seen parent one and it has only one child. Situation number 2, when you have one parent and many children and only one child is getting consolidated to the parent, even then it is called implied share. There is also situation number 3, okay, that you can go through this document and what are the unintended effects in the planning application. So you would see this issue very normal in planning applications, and we would tag that parent as never share, only then the issue would get resolved, so that's what I was just saying. If you when you talk about planning, you'll be able to understand better. But however, I'll give this document to you. You can go through it.
Right.
Clear?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what. Okay. So understood till here what we have talked about implied share. Okay. Never share. You have understood, right? Yeah. Okay. So there is something called the last storage property is called label only. Okay. So as a definition, it says label only is used for navigation purpose or it is used for reporting purpose. When you tag any member as label only, Essbase will not store the value in that member, but when you pull the value, we would get the value from the first child. And we cannot tag a level 0 member as label only. I cannot tag a level 0 as member as my label only. So label only, it doesn't hold any data by itself, but when pulled in the reports, we get the value from the first child. That is the definition of label only. Okay, so if you take an example, now say for example, if you take a dimension called scenario, okay, now if I add a member called actual, budget and forecast, and all the consolidation properties are plus here. Okay, so adding these three values will not make any sense in my scenario, correct? So if I add actual data plus budget data plus forecast data, that data doesn't make any sense at my scenario, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what I would do is that I will make these members as tilde here. So if you're making the members as tilde here, the value, there is no value which is going into my parent, correct?
Correct.
There is no value at my parent level. So when the end users, when they retrieve the report at a scenario level, they would not get any data. And sometimes it so happens that, users would start saying that, why am I not seeing any data at my scenario level? So we would, then what we do is that we tag the member, this member as label only. Okay, so when you tag this member as label only, what happens is that there is no data at scenario level, that is correct. But when you pull the value or when you pull the report at a scenario level, what Essbase will do is that you get the value from the first child automatically. So you don't have to do anything. So when the users retrieve the data at scenario level, they would see the data and they know the data what they are seeing, and they would know that the data belongs to actual. Okay, because the reason being that we are saving the memory by tagging it as label only, and nothing is stored at label only. But when pulled in the reports, the other advantages is that you still get the value in my report, so that users would not get confused. So situations like when you have everything as tilde property, and for the parent, if you still want to get the value, then you tag the member as label only. You're getting it?
And in case if the budgeted values are needed to get out means to be displayed.
Then you put the budget first and actual second.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is a situation. Now say for example I have a dimension called accounts. Now say for example under account, okay, so I'll take the same hierarchy here. Okay, I have a discounts here. In the same way, you have something called uh, uh, ratios, for example, okay, or percentages, for example. Okay, so under this percentages, I want to calculate all my percentages here. I would say profit percentage, okay, commission percentage, okay, say for example gross margin percentage. So where I'm calculating all my percentages, correct? So adding these percentages, does it make any sense at my percentages level? No, right? So if this
No.
is plus, this is plus. So this is plus, this is plus, and this is plus. So profit percentage is 20, commission percentage is 30, gross margin is 15 here. So adding these three values, this data is garbage data. I mean, this data doesn't make any sense here. Correct?
Yeah.
So what I
Correct.
would do is that I would remove this because this data doesn't make any sense here. Then what I would do is that put everything as tilde here so that the value will not go to the parent, and tag my parent as label only. When I tag it as label only, you get the value from the first sale, which is my percentages value shown in my report. Okay, nothing is stored in my cell in the block. Okay, so the value is only retrieved in my reports, and automatically it will show the value from the first child. Getting it?
Yeah.
You're able to understand. So that is the main purpose of using label only. So label only doesn't hold any data by itself, but when pulled in the reports, we get the value from the first child, and we cannot tag a level 0 member as label only. Clear?
Yeah, obviously, because
Yep.
it will not pull up any data.
Data. Okay. Okay. So this covers all the 6 storage properties like store data, dynamic calc and store, never share, shared member, and label only. So any doubts you have till now in these 6 storage properties?
Mm, no.
No.
But these last two things, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Probably you said you will discuss it in the later class. Right?
Yeah, that implied share, right?
Yeah, implied
Yeah,
share and
yeah,
all,
yeah.
right?
Yes, I'll share you that document to you. You can go through it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So if you see these, okay, so that is what it is. Okay. So having said that, we would create one more dimension called an accounts dimension. I right click and add sibling here. I would create a dimension called account. Account, some people call it as accounts, some people call it as measures. Okay. So account is nothing but a fact in which all your numbers should be there in the fact table, uh, which is my accounts dimension. Okay. So accounts dimension is very important and very critical. So all your business logic would be there in your accounts dimension. So all your lot of calculations, your formulas would be there in your accounts dimension. Okay, getting it?
Mm-hmm.
So before you create an accounts dimension, we need to see, analyze our reports and come out with the uh, hierarchy. So generally speaking, accounts dimension, most of the projects, they would have your chart of accounts. Your chart of accounts would be
Yeah.
either P&L accounts, or it can be a balance sheet accounts, or it can be a cash flow statements. Generally, it would be that. It can be anything else what the client is analyzing. They want to analyze in their reports, but generally it would be a chart of accounts which has your gross profit, your profit, your incomes and expenses, your income before tax, and everything would be there in your fact. Okay, so before you create the accounts dimension, we are actually going with a case study. So we would understand that case study, we would see that hierarchy, and we would see that report and come out with the hierarchy. Okay, so this is what we are seeing. This is the report. Okay, so by seeing this report, we need to come out with the hierarchy. So, okay, so I'm creating a dimension called accounts now. Okay, so I'm seeing the report and I need to prepare the hierarchy. Now, what do you think would be the first member under this accounts dimension by seeing this report? Any, you can, any guesses or
Sales, yeah. Sales discount and all.
uh,
So first time will be the net sales. Under
no,
net sales, then it will be
okay. Okay, so basically what you
okay.
do is that whenever you see a report,
Gross margin.
yeah, the last
This
member
one.
would become the
Yeah, yeah.
first member.
Last number should be the first one. Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
Yeah, so
So it should be the
480,
gross margin.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is 480 minus 300 minus 50, you get 130 here. So you get,
Yeah, yeah, got it.
okay, gross margin.
Gross margin.
Okay, under which you have a child, okay, which is net sales,
Net sales.
okay, and cost of sales.
Cost of sales and Other cost.
Other CGS. Okay. So under net sales, you have a children,
Yep.
gross sales. So this is consolidation properties. This is plus here. This is minus here. And this is minus here.
Okay.
Okay. So it is 480 minus 300 minus 130. I get minus 50. I get 130 here. So how am I getting my net sales? I sell my gross sales at the discounts.
Discount
Okay. So this is plus here.
plus.
This is minus. Okay. So in the same way, under gross sales, how did you get my gross sales? The report is incomplete here. It should be units here. It should be price here.
Yep.
Clear now? So this is plus and this is minus.
No, this is multiplication.
Yeah, sorry, multiplication, sorry. Okay, units into price is my gross sales. How am I getting my discounts? Again, I would put as gross sales here. And discount percentage here. And this gross sales should be my shade member. Okay. I want to use the value from here. So this is plus and this is multiplication here. Okay, so then it would get the value to my parent. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. In the same way, under cost of sales, you have direct labor, material and overhead. Okay, and under cost of sales, under other CGs, you have these members. Clear? And we have something called gross margin percentage. I can create it here itself. The child, the sibling of my gross margin. I would put it somewhere here called gross margin percentage. Okay, and I would, how am I getting 27% here? If you open my calc here, okay, so it is gross margin, that is 130 divided by my net sales into 100, you get this 27%. Clear?
Yeah.
So I would write a formula here. I would tell to the system gross margin divided by net sales into 100. Okay, so this should not be plus here. I would make this as tilde here. Okay.
So we can directly use the formulas like this.
Yeah, we can directly write a formula. And this is a level 0 member and it has a formula associated with it. I can change it to dynamic calc. So I'm telling the system calculate this formula every time dynamically.
Yeah.
Okay, you can also make it as store data, that should not be a problem. But if you take it as dynamic calc, it will, whenever it retrieves the value in the report, it will dynamically calculate this and it will show the value in the report. Clear now? Understood?
Got it.
Okay, right. So in the same way, if you try to analyze this country, kitchen, desserts here, we have the similar, I know we also have to create an accounts dimension. So if you see here, I would give you 5 minutes of time. Go through this hierarchy, this report, this hierarchy, and come out with the accounts dimension. How would you prepare an accounts by seeing this report? Recording. Okay, so we would be creating the accounts dimension now. So by seeing that hierarchy, so I would right click on this member. I say add child, and I would create a member called gross margin, and we have something called gross margin percentage. For this I'll write a formula, and this would be tilde property, which means I would not consolidate it to my parent. Right click, add child, under which I have something called net sales, cost of sales, and we have something called other CGS. This would be minus here. Under cost net sales, add child, I would create a member called gross sales, and discounts. Under this, under gross sales, discounts is minus here. Under gross sales, right click, add child. I would put something called units. Price being a multiplication. Add child. I would add a member called gross sales here. Discount percentage here. So discount percentage multiplication, and when you try to verify it, it says warning here. It says there are too many duplicate names. So here I would like to use the value. I would give the same name. So tag this as shade member. Yeah, you can also right click, edit member properties, change the data storage property from store data to shade member when that is correct. Okay. So under cost of sales, right click, I say add child. I would add a child called direct labor, material, and overhead. Direct labor. And overhead. So direct labor, the report is not complete. I would make it complete. So units and labor per unit. This is multiplication here. Material also is directly proportionate with the units that I sell. So I would like to take the value of these units, and I want to calculate my direct labor here. And here I want to use these units to calculate my material. So I would tag them as shade member. Overhead. Add child. Overhead is directly proportionate with the direct labor and overhead rate. So this is multiplication here. This is also multiplication. Direct labor. This is my shade member. Verify it and save it. Other CGs, material variances, labor variances. Okay, so this is what I have created. Okay, save it. This is gross margin percentage. So I know that it is gross margin divided by net sales into 100. You get that value. So I select this gross margin percentage and go to this formula here, and I would write a formula on this number. So I would expand my accounts. Gross margin set number divided by net sales into 100, semicolon. So all your formulas will end with semicolon. So verify it and click OK. Clear? So if you, and this is a level 0 member and you have a formula associated with it. If you want, you can also change the data storage property from store data to dynamic calc. So verify it and save it. So any doubts you have till now?
No, can you show me that how did you calculate that formula from this one?
Yeah, it is this no gross margin. It is 130 divided by 480 into 100. So if you want to write the same things, yeah, select this member, go to this formula editor, click on this, yeah, and write a formula. You can just type it, or I can expand my accounts, select the member, right click and say insert member. Divided by net sales into 100. I would remove this here again. Insert member divided by net sales, insert member into 100. Clear?
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is accounts is also dense dimension. Okay, right click, go to edit member properties. That is dense dimension member. So time and accounts are my account dense dimension members. So the rest of the dimensions have to tag it as parts. Okay, clear? No, understood? Clear?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll
Yeah,
stop
okay.
it here today, and tomorrow we'll talk about the other dimensions, and we'll see the rest of the things. So before I wind up, I would can you Vijay, can you share your screen once? I'll make you the presenter.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yeah, 1 second.
Can you give the access to me?
Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, you are the presenter now.
Yeah. Are you able to see, sir?
Yeah, I can see you. Did you install 7Z zip file? That 7Z? Yeah, install this.
Yeah, installed.
It's click on. You must restart your system. Click on no. No, no,
I click.
no. You're close. Yeah, go to your zip files where you have kept it. Yeah, right click. The first one.
First one, no?
Right click. 7-zip. Extract here. Extract here. Click on that.
Okay. Only one file or all?
Now we'll do one by one. Click on that. Okay, so once this is finished, then we'll go with the second one.
Okay. So need to do all files same as same.
Yes, you need to do all the files.
అంటే అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది ఒక ఆర్డర్లో వస్తాయి అంటారు సార్?
We're not talking about the order here. So we are actually extracting all the files into the EPM folder. That's all.
I same only I have done it yesterday.
What did you do is yesterday is that you have extracted correctly, but you have extracted to that folder itself, that V7016.
370. Where is it?
1 second, Vijay. Yeah. Go to the second zip file.
Second folder.
Right click. ఓకే ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ ఆల్ కొట్టండి ఒకసారి. ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ ఆల్. మీరు ఏం చేశారంటే ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇలా ఆ ఫోల్డర్లోకి ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేశారు. ఇలా ఆ ఫోల్డర్లోకి ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయకుండా ఈపీఎంలోకి ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయాలి.
బై మిస్టేక్ ఎక్కడో జరిగింది. ఒక క్యాన్సిల్ కొట్టినా.
క్యాన్సిల్ కొట్టండి.
ఇంకోటి చేయనా సార్? అది అయిపోయింది.
సెకండ్ వన్ చేయండి. రైట్ క్లిక్. In this way you extract everything.